Are you unconsciously sabotaging your joy by chasing an impossible standard? Could your quest for improvement actually be paralyzing you? Have you ever realized you're more driven by external validation than by your own inner compass? What if your intuition holds the key to unlocking a life of effortless magic? Life took an unexpected turn recently, prompting me to confront themes of authenticity, intuition, and the vital importance of aligning with my core values. It felt as if I was forcing every aspect of my existence, from my creative work to my personal life. Everything seemed perfect on the surface, yet a deep sense of disconnect lingered. I felt like I was going through the motions, lacking genuine enthusiasm or vision for the future. This internal struggle was further complicated by my role as a mindset coach, creating pressure to embody the ideals I preach. The expectation of setting an example for others weighed heavily on me, amplifying feelings of inadequacy and stifling my ability to navigate this challenging period with grace. My journey began with acknowledging and processing difficult emotions, recognizing them as signs of internal cleansing and the emergence of long-buried aspects of myself. This emotional purging then led to a period of reflection, culminating in a profound realization about the insidious nature of perfectionism. I discovered that I was unwittingly hindering my progress by obsessing over perceived flaws and shortcomings. This realization was triggered by a social media detox, which provided the necessary distance to recognize the toxicity of my thought patterns. I was constantly evaluating everything through the lens of external validation, prioritizing how things would appear to others, rather than focusing on my own genuine expression. Unbeknownst to myself, I had slipped into a mindset of constant self-monitoring, excessively concerned with external perception. I realized that the moments when I felt most alive and connected were those when I simply allowed myself to exist and act without overthinking or self-judgment. These were the times when miracles seemed to unfold effortlessly in my life. I had several videos recorded, gathering dust because I was relentlessly critiquing them. Despite the effort invested, the forced energy was apparent, falling short of the genuine, heartfelt content that truly resonated with me and others. My favorite content, both my own and that of other creators, emanated from a place of raw, unfiltered expression, devoid of self-consciousness. Those times in my life when I moved with the current, guided by my feelings and deeply present in my body, were when my intuition spoke the loudest. Vision became clear, and I felt a joy for life that was absent for weeks. This absence was alarming, as it highlighted the profound impact of alignment on my overall well-being. When you've experienced a life driven by alignment, excitement, and a sense of higher purpose, losing that feeling can be devastating. It brings into sharp focus how fulfilling and meaningful life can be when you're living in harmony with your true self. Before this awareness, simply existing and catering to other people felt like the norm. External validation had fleeting moments, yet without the deep internal knowledge, I lacked an awareness of anything truly special. My perfectionist tendencies, initially disguised as a desire for self-improvement, had morphed into an impossible standard, paralyzing me with fear of inadequacy. I had fallen into the trap of believing that if I couldn't achieve Olympic-level performance, there was no point in even trying. This all-or-nothing mentality prevented me from taking even the smallest steps toward my goals. The deceptive nature of perfectionism lies in its ability to masquerade as a virtue. It begins with a genuine desire for betterment, but can swiftly escalate into an unattainable ideal, leaving you trapped in a cycle of self-criticism and inaction. It's like standing at the edge of a pool, refusing to enter unless you can swim like Michael Phelps, never realizing that even the greatest swimmers started with a single toe in the water. Another realization I had about perfectionism was tied to my creative vision. When I was feeling aligned and inspired, I received visions for my work, my business, and my creative content. However, I then began to incorporate the opinions and standards of others, creating a checklist of expectations that I felt compelled to meet. This external pressure distracted me from my core purpose, creating authentic content and connecting directly with people. My energy became diluted, and the clear, inspired ideas that once flowed freely became stifled by overthinking. Overthinking is the ultimate dream killer. This internal conflict ultimately hindered my ability to create videos. The ones I did manage to produce felt flat, lacking the genuine energy I sought. Normally, my intuition would tell me if a video was going to resonate with someone, but this time it went silent. This paralysis from inaction was driven by the desire to only show up as a perfect image. If I couldn't embody an idealized version of myself with millions of followers, I simply didn't want to create anything at all. During this period of internal turmoil, I realized the core issue. I began to question why my worth had become attached to external validation. The initial intention behind my content creation was genuine, to share my experiences and insights to help others navigate trauma, limiting beliefs, and insecurities. Somewhere along the way, this altruistic motivation had become entangled with my ego, leading me to believe that success meant I was special or good enough. While I still possessed the genuine desire to help myself and others, my ego had superimposed an additional layer, constantly asking, will this sound impressive in a video? Will this make me appear intelligent and successful? This relentless pursuit of external validation had become a driving force, distorting my intentions and fueling my perfectionistic tendencies. The elusive nature of perfectionism became glaringly apparent. Even if I were to somehow reach a predetermined standard of success, the bar would inevitably shift. The satisfaction would be fleeting, replaced by a relentless pursuit of the next unattainable goal. I couldn't even quantify what true perfection looked like. Was it 200,000 subscribers? 2 million? What would happen then? A deeper question I needed to address was the origin of this need for perfection. What was driving this relentless pursuit of an impossible standard? For much of my life, I'd been an all-rounder, capable in many areas, but never truly exceptional in one. This had always been a source of insecurity, as I lacked a clear sense of purpose or a specific talent that set me apart. It felt as if everyone else had some deep, unique talent, but I couldn't find that myself. Moreover, there were times when I felt invisible. The low points of my teenage years, amplified by hormonal changes and difficult home situations, made me feel abandoned and worthless. I had a bad situation at home, bullying friends at school, and the low self-worth of being a teenager. All these elements contributed to me identifying as someone who felt she was worth nothing, leading to a need to become a special snowflake. The 14 or 15-year-old version of myself was very much alive, craving the recognition and validation that had been absent during those formative years. My 15-year-old self got excited when I finally found my true joy and purpose in life, coaching. It was like she was saying that now I had to be perfect at it, otherwise I would be ignored again. This realization forced me to examine my actions with brutal honesty, discerning between those driven by genuine authenticity and those fueled by a desperate need for validation. Engaging in actions driven by the ego, aimed solely at scratching its itch, never brought fulfillment, and instead dulled my intuition. When I ignored my authenticity, ignored my inner compass, and focused solely on external opinions, I went astray. This misalignment created a series of obstacles, as if the universe was actively redirecting me back toward my true path. The more I strayed from my values and purpose, the quieter that inner voice became, until my intuition felt nearly silent. This realization was terrifying, highlighting the profound impact of aligning with my soul. I was seeing roadblock after roadblock. On a Monday, the power went out across Europe. During a planned gym visit, I turned up and it was closed. It felt like the universe was giving me signs, encouraging me to turn around. Having clarity on your purpose gives guidance, even when chaos surrounds you. It reminds you to be in your body, showing up and moving through experiences with a clear purpose. The more you stray from the path that you know is right, the more signs the universe will give you, reminding you to turn back. When you prioritize logic, fears, traumas, or the ego's need for validation, you neglect your soul's desires. This neglect leads to the soul becoming quiet and physical roadblocks appearing in life's path. When you're living from your heart, connected to your soul, life flows with magical ease. However, if you stay in your head, everything gets much harder. You're creating a difficult life for yourself. Being connected to your intuition is like waking up in the morning and knowing what color to wear or what activity you should do on a given day. If your intuition tells you to go to the beach instead of the gym, you follow it without question. Your intuition is like a golden thread, leading you to more fulfillment and doors opening up that you never expected. However, to follow this path, you have to start by making a conscious decision to live with integrity and act according to your truths. The yin and yang must be in perfect harmony. It's easy to become unbalanced when you use your masculine energy to deny the feminine, intuitive side. A perfect example is when my intuition told me not to go to the gym, but my ego told me I had to, because it would mean I was losing muscle mass. So, off I went, only to find out the gym was closed. I went from a life of flow to feeling lost and unhappy. Despite having a life that objectively had never been better, I still couldn't find happiness. What mattered was how I felt, not the external circumstances of my life. Having a perfect illustration of this feeling one morning at the nail salon, I realized something was off. Usually I'd arrive and be able to select a color immediately. However, this time I didn't know what to pick. After much deliberation, I ended up selecting chrome silver. Usually I'd also head straight to the store and know exactly what I want. However, on this particular day, the mall was closed. I realized I was just being turned around. At the end of the day, everything had to come at the cost of coming out of alignment. You living according to your truth matters more than anything and will ultimately give you more fulfillment than any ego desire ever will. When you follow your intuition, you're unstoppable. But your ego has an idea of perfection that will leave you feeling exhausted. It hijacks your authenticity because of some past insecurities. It's even possible to achieve the things that you think will finally make you perfect, but still feel empty because you've trained yourself to believe you will only be good enough when you do things to prove you're good enough. You can accept yourself right now and improve from there. Initially, when I started manifesting everything I ever wanted, I felt amazing. However, that's when the pattern came back. You have to actively change the way you're thinking, or else it's going to remain the same. Here's the lesson I want you to learn from this journey. The only thing that you are guaranteed to have until the day you die is your relationship with yourself. So prioritize that and nurture that. And do not discard yourself because you haven't met some standard yet. Your ego is feeding off the pattern, but your soul is dying from it. You're not going to access creativity, passion, or the love you are meant to share if you are living from your ego and your fears. So, accept yourself now. Why do you need to reach this impossible standard? What void are you trying to heal? If you take this journey, there may be parts of you that are hurt and truly feel like they need something to be healed. Validation is the key here. It's important to sit with those parts of you. Tell them the past is not the present, and they don't need to chase anything. In one area of my life, I was sabotaging my diet because I was suffocating myself with standards. I needed something to release all the pressure. And what I needed to let go of was all the standards I was placing on myself from my ego. And after all, when you're operating from your truths, everything is easier. Even following media I normally don't has become an aspect of my life that I force myself to follow, when I should simply be paying attention to my feelings. So what is the question you need to ask yourself here? The answer is this: what does my body want? When you start going down this path, you're going to realize how freeing it is. And it's going to show you how your truth and your authenticity are the most powerful place to be. You simply can't be forcing in fear and ego and expect your alignment and flow to follow. Don't waste your life trying to find purpose. Just focus on what you want. Finally, don't try to talk yourself into things. Instead, realize what you value. If you could have your life your way, what matters to you? What kind of light do you want to be in the world? Also, don't always take advice from others. They're really only telling you what they would do themselves. There are times when something may make you uncomfortable because it's growing you, but there are other times it may be because it doesn't align with you. You cannot go wrong if you are following your intuition and truth. It's truly the only way to access the freedom and expression that's meant for you. When you ask, does this resonate with me? That's a magnetic energy. You have everything you need to create the life of your dreams. Your ego and insecurities are only there to hold you back. I know people who are wealthy and charismatic, but still lost because they spent their life performing and not truly being themselves. Don't put on an act for the benefit of others. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Be the real you, the authentic you, even if it's just to yourself. Our connection to our soul has the power to transform our lives. By honoring our intuition, embracing our authenticity, and releasing the need for external validation, we can create a life of effortless magic. It's a life where purpose intertwines with the present moment. This journey requires courage and a willingness to challenge ingrained thought patterns, but the reward is a profound sense of inner peace and alignment, which brings immeasurable fulfillment.